Hey guys, and welcome back to MSFS Flight Plans. I'm Nick, and we are in the Pyrenees. This has been a tough one for me to put together. I have flown all the way from coast to coast. This is the border between Spain and France, if you guys didn't know that. A beautiful mountain range that I have been trying to find a good spot to fly over. The problem I was having is that there is just not much on the ground out here, and everything that is on the ground is default stuff. In real life, they got a bunch of old castle ruins and monasteries and things like that, but nothing looked like it was supposed to. So I didn't think we were going to be able to get out here for any reason, unless maybe I made like a montage with a music bed like we did for that Colorado Canyons trip. And then as I was skimming around on flightsim.to, which is one of my favorite pastimes, I found a package of freeware, by the way, of course, because it's on flightsim.to. 12 fictitious bush strips right here, right in the best part of the Pyrenees. So I figured if we had that to do, I could squeeze in enough information about the mountains and the borders and this plane we're going to be taking that I would fill it up with stuff to talk about, and we'd have some cool landing challenges, real tough landing challenges for a lot of these. So you better bone up on your forward slips. If you're going to do this one, you're going to see what I'm talking about in just a minute. So these strips were made by a guy named Stamflight, I think. I'll link it in the video description, but hats off to him for making these. Fantastic. Made for 2020, looks just fine in 2024. May have done a little bit of terraforming. Most of these are either down in little nooks and crannies like this or on tops of the mountains. That's terrace down there, so you can see you might have flattened that out just a little bit. But the main thing you have is runway barriers, runway markers, at least as far as the numbers. A helipad landing spot, which I guess you could land wherever you want, but there's H's at each of these. And then just some nice little touches, like right down there by that building. I don't know if you can see it or not. There's that yellow generator, and right by the corner, there's a little animated guy with a briefcase down there. And an outhouse, of course, which is all I really ask for. That's fantastic. Just breathe a little life into these. But these are some tough strips to get into. Some are really, really tough. There's one I'd like to see if any of you guys can land as it should be landed, because I can't do it yet. And I've crashed so many times. This is now probably the, 14th or 15th time I've tried recording this. You can see we do have some flat trees and spots. Not a lot, though. The main thing that's cool about this area, and all these strips are in the perfect spot, is just on the southern side of the Central Range. There are some of the most unique mountain formations that I've ever seen in the world. They're really, really cool. We'll fly past a lot of them as we're going about. But let's head on down to the Draco. This is the first time on these flights anyway that I've gotten in this plane in 2024, and I don't know why. I love bush flying. Maybe because we've been in so many helicopters. But I think maybe it was because some of the initial reviews were kind of mixed, and I don't remember why, and honestly after flying it I don't know why. It's just a super overpowered bush plane, which is absolutely awesome. I don't know if maybe there's a problem with the flight dynamics. I've never flown in real life, so I don't know. I didn't have any trouble flying it. But whatever you pick, you're going to need something that has a heck of a lot of power and can stop really quick. So something that can get up quick and stop really quick. So maybe if you have the OP Kit Fox, what is it, the Stage 2, that would probably work. But I don't think the Cub is going to have enough juice, anything like that, to be able to make it up and down. This baby can definitely do it, though. And I didn't know all that much about this plane. I mean, I knew a little bit about it, but I found a video on Trent Palmer's website where he was interviewing Mike Patey as he was talking about this plane. And it's a fascinating story about why he built it, how he built it, the origin of it. It's really cool. I'll tell you a little bit about that. But I linked two of the videos. The one from Trent Palmer's site, and then one of Mike Patey just talking about this thing. It's incredible. Really, a really cool plane. And best of all, as far as I can tell, everything works, including the autopilot. Now, I say that I haven't tried flying it with autopilot turned on, but you can load up the flight plan just fine, and I haven't been in a plane yet where you could load the flight plan and it wouldn't fly on autopilot. And even the doors work. You click on it, you climb right in. So we'll get in, fire up, and this does have a turboprop on it, a huge one. So we'll go ahead and get that started, introduce the fuel, and then we'll take a look at the map real quick. And just to get this light to go off, we'll do the door seal. You could take pretty much any plane if you wanted to. There's other strips you could land at around here if you don't want to do the bush strips. The highest mountain peak anywhere out here, which we'll just get a glimpse of off in the distance, is about 11,000 feet. So anything should be able to make it up here just fine. Look at the blades pitching there. That's fantastic. All right, well, let's let this go up, introduce the fuel, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at the little nav map route, which I kind of had to customize for this. It's a little bit different than normal. Okay, let that do its thing. This thing right here is an oximeter. So if you're flying around and feeling a little lightheaded, you can jam your finger in there, and it'll tell you your oxygen level in your blood, which is awesome. Someone should make like a 3D print of that so I can stick it underneath my Bravo and fly around my finger in that. And who do we have this time? Every time I've been in there, we've had a different passenger. And that one is unambiguously a girl, I think. The last two I had, I couldn't really tell. But that's the world we live in now. Let me adjust this camera just a little bit. There we go. That's more like it. Okay, let's look at little nav map. Then we'll give her full fuel and get up in the air. So if you've never been out here before, this does create the border between France and Spain, and the mountains don't really go all the way across. It's pretty flat over here, pretty flat over here, so we are right in the fat part of the bat right here with all the best mountains, which is really, really cool. We're going to hit 8 of the 12 strips, and there might even be more than that. So we got these 8 that we're going to fly. That one there is one, this one here, this one here. You'll be able to tell on the world map because they have stars next to them. But I think there may be 1 or 2 other handcrafted airports around here. There are no POIs anywhere in the sim, and very, very few you can even download from anywhere. So what we're going to see is what we can get. But it's worth a flight just to try to land these and to see all the sights. It's pretty cool. So the big difference with this flight plan... Oh, and by the way, if you're flying with the default map, which I'm guessing is going to be as good or worse than the Bing map, the latest Bing map in the map enhancement application, you're going to see lots of big clouds printed on the landscape, which look like glaciers. Really, really out of place. So I have used the Google map, the free one, in the map enhancement, and I didn't see any clouds on the ground anywhere. And the terrain looks a lot better too. So we're going to take off from this one right here, which is one of the add-ons, and then come on over to this one. And the way that I drew out this flight plan, because you're going to see we're going to have obstructions on both ends of these runways, depending on whether you have the live weather on or not. You can see we don't have much going on here. I just put it to the few cloud setting. You might want to come in from the other direction. So instead of just drawing it to the runway, I just drew the line straight through each of the strips lined up on the runway heading, so you can come in from either side. And the reason why I did that is a lot of these you will not see them until you're like a half a mile away. You're going to be right on top of them before you can see them. So at least if you can follow this to get lined up, that will be very, very helpful for some of these. The only spot we're going to have a significant deviation is for this one right here. And this is the one I want to see a video of one of you guys landing if you can do it correctly. So the correct runway orientation is this way, but what we're going to do is fly up inside of this big gouge in this mountain here because it looks really, really cool, but we won't spit ourselves out till we're like right here. So we can't come down and go right on the runway because we'd have to come in from this way or this way. Coming down from this side is probably almost impossible because this is so steep. Even with a slip, I couldn't get slow enough to try to land it there. So I think what we'll do is come around here and try to come in from this side of it and come in. And you might just think, well, why not just come in this way? The problem with that is this is so steep and so rugged that you lose control because this thing is so powerful trying to taxi around. And if there's any trees at any of these, I hit all kinds of trees and crash. So I'm going to try for all these to just land really quick, which this thing can certainly do, and then just take off in the same direction. That's the best way to do it, or you're going to wind up doing a lot of crashing, which might not be a big deal for you, but when you're trying to record this, hitting all 8 of these, it's a bit disappointing when that happens. So we'll come over here. This is really the only long stretch we're going to have, and I'll tell you a little bit about the mountains, about the border. I'll tell you about this plane, which is amazing. But I wanted to come out here to show you these reservoirs. They look pretty good in the sim from a distance. If you get up close, like if you want to try to hit this strip, which is 2,000 feet long, you could put pretty much anything down there, as long as it's not too huge. The shorelines here look terrible. The color's right, looks great from a distance, and because it's a reservoir, check out these dams. When I saw that, I thought for sure these would just look incredible, but they don't. The elevation data didn't translate properly, so they either look really flat or too stretched out. They don't look quite right. So save yourself the trip, unless you just can't resist like me. There's another dam right here and another dam here. We will see one that's going to look good from the height that we're at because we have to stay high to cross over these mountains. We'll catch a look at one right almost underneath the plane down here that looks pretty good. Then we'll cruise over here and hit this strip. This one's really awesome. You got to come around the side of this mountain here and then cut over to the left to get into it. Really, really cool. This one is neat because it's on top of this big, huge plateau, and you can't tell from here, but when we get out here, this is a really, really steep ridge here, and this is down in a depression. So there's a ridge here and a ridge here, and you definitely are going to have to do some slipping to get down here without picking up any airspeed. Oh, I got the centering on. That's all right. I'm just going to leave it on for now. So that's going to be a huge challenge. And then the final one is probably the easiest of all, which is great. It's just in a big open field on top of a mountain. I think the whole distance is around 67. It's under 70, so not going to be too long because this plane is pretty quick. And we're going to have a lot of fun trying to stick these things. So if you have not flown this plane before, let's go ahead and we can turn these things off now. I got to look around the side of the stick here. I can just pull it back. The best way to do this, unless you want to get stuck in a ground loop, which will absolutely happen if you do not keep that stick all the way back when you're trying to take off, is to just keep it pulled back, give it full power, full prop, and then just ease the nose forward. Once you come up, bring the flaps up, and you'll be in good shape. Otherwise, you're going to be flying all over the place on the ground. So for takeoff, I couldn't see any indication of what the flap setting should be, but if you start with it started on the runway, it's at 22 degrees, so that's what we'll do. And we'll just go from there. All right, so we got full back pressure on the stick, and check this out. Flight plan all loaded up, ready to go. Let me stick my finger in the oximeter real quick. Okay, looks like I'm good. You ready to go? Man, you're having a good time. That's great. The last guy was a total buzzkill. All right, let's do this. Keeping that back pressure. It'll come up real quick. There we go. Ease the nose forward. Flaps up. And bring that power back. So this mountain just to our left, which you really can't see because we're flying next to it, is called Montaña de Vallabriga, topping out at 6,600 feet. And this first strip has been named the Selva Plana airstrip, altitude 5074, and the length of this one is a very forgiving 1,400 feet. But we're going to have to come down real quick. So again, be prepared to do a lot of forward slips on these. So for this one, we're going to come over that ridge right in front of us, and then we're going to have to start coming down. And a lot of these, if they're up on the mountains, look how good these fields look, by the way. Look real nice. And even the shrubs, because I've got the month set at May and the time of day set at high noon. Even the flat shrubs, the flat trees will be pretty obvious. The flat shrubs won't jump out at you because the shadows are going to be in the right spot. So as we're coming around here, we're going to come over this and get down slow to flap speed. This thing does not like to slow down at all, even with full flaps. So since a lot of these are... Oh, by the way, real quick. After this, we're going to come up on this ridge, hit a strip right there, and then this is that big mountain with the gouge in it. They're going to flap in. You might think that you would just dive down and then climb to burn off the rest of the airspeed. The problem with that is the nose is going to come up so high, you're going to lose sight of the runway, which is going to be a problem. Which is why I found that slipping is the best way to do it. If you know how to do it. If you don't, there's plenty of YouTube tutorials out there for that. And here we go. See, I've got the throttle cut now, and we're just not losing much airspeed, and now we got to come down some because there's the runway right around the corner of this mountain. We can't see it yet. You'll see it in just a second. There it is, right over there, that open spot. Well, that's good. Last time I came out here, I was way too high. Okay, so let's come over this way some. We're at flap speed, so that's good. I'll give it 33 degrees. And we're going to have trees right at the end of the runways here. And I was trying to look as close as I could at the pictures of the thumbnails, which were for 2020. And because the trees are so abundant and so well done here, I'm guessing some of these trees might not have been here in 2020. So these may be obstructions that the dev hadn't planned for, but it makes it a lot more fun. Just watching that airspeed. Alright, we won't need to do any slipping here, I don't think. Nah. But look at that. There's a tree right there at the end of the runway. And we have an uphill grade, which is great, both for landing and takeoff for this one. And I think the stall speed, it's sub 40. With full flaps, it's probably 35 maybe. So you can get going real slow in this sucker. I just need to stay over that tree right there. And don't stall on me, baby. Don't stall. I think we cleared it. Yep, good. And make sure you keep some back pressure on that thing. It'll be flying all over the place. Come on down. Did I come up in the air? Nope. Yeah, I did. Okay. Whew, that's probably not going to be enough to take off. Okay, we'll come in the other direction for this one, if I can navigate around this. So again, as you're trying to taxi, just keep the back pressure on that stick. Alright, we got a nice opener here to turn around. That's real good. This might be the only one where we could do that, so if we were going to land too far down, I got a little dumpster over there, that's great. This was probably the spot to do it. Come on around. It's like once it starts moving, you're off. Come on around, nice and easy. If I get it any more, we're just going to launch off. Alright, perfect. Okay, so we'll just do a rolling start here. Keep that back pressure on the stick. Up we go. No problem. Flaps up. Power back. Okay, for this next one, we're going to look for this big mountain up ahead. And then we're going to just come down on this strip. Now I got myself turned the wrong direction, so we'll come back over this way a bit. We got to get some distance from this one so we can see it line up pretty well. But what's crazy about these mountains, over there, you got your standard issue mountains. Look pretty good, both right on top of them and from a distance. But on this side of it, it seems to be just on this side of it, you've got these really crazy, thin, winding formations that I don't recall seeing anywhere else in the world, which is pretty neat. I'm surprised no one's made any of the just a little handcrafted freeware mods for a lot of these castles out here. They're everywhere because this has been such a significant border for so long. So we'll come up next to this mountain. Once we get next to it, then we're going to turn back in the opposite direction. Then we'll see the strip on the top of this ridge. And up here, like on the side of this one, when you see it, it'll look like there's a little bit of a defect in the vegetation because at the very top of it there's some trees, and then you're going to have this side where it looks like it's just flat mud. We kind of saw that out in Switzerland too. And I'm pretty sure that just happens when there's a shadow, and the sim doesn't know what to do with it because the satellite image just looks totally black. So I think that's what's going on out here. Once we get turned to the side, we'll start looking for that strip. This one is really hard for me, not sure why. So this one is going to be 1,600 feet, which is even longer than the last one. It's called the Turbine Airstrip at 5,200 feet. And then after this, we're going to head up into the inside of that big bald mountain over there to the left. That's where that big gouge is. And that open spot right there, I'm pretty sure is where the strip is. So let's cut the throttle. And I think I'm too high here, so we'll probably do a little slipping. See what I'm talking about, the mountain there? You can even see the shadow line right on it. It looks like paint running down the side of it. I don't know why this one feels so hard. I feel like I'm just running out of space too quick, and again, we got the trees right at the end of it there. And we're going way too fast, so let's slip it. And I prefer to slip with right rudder just so I can keep an eye on the runway. And bring the flaps out while we're doing it. That's just right. Just right. We'll go 33 degrees. This just feels weird to me, coming into it. Once you get down and you're rolling, it doesn't seem so bad, but it just seems like it's super short. You're going to see the end of the runway marker. There's a little barrier right on the other side of that tree, like right on the other side of it. We're getting pretty slow. Let's pick it up a hair. Cut it. And bring it down. See if we can do this without hopping. That one was better. Back pressure. And you can throw it into beta. It is a turboprop. What is that, a gorilla on the ground? What is that? I can't get too much closer. I run out of space. It's a bear. That's fantastic. Very good. Okay, so for this one, this is the really, really hard one. So we're going to come up here into this ridge, come out of the top of it, and right when we come out, we're going to have to take a hard right over here and start looking for this runway. And I'm going to do a circle around this time to see if I can find... I may land perpendicular to the way you're supposed to, but there's no... The only thing up there is a windsock, so I don't know where the runway's supposed to be anyway. There's no barriers or boundaries or anything. So we'll just check it out once we get up there. Alright, full prop, full power, off the brakes, and away we go. We'll leave a little bit more power in this time because we got to get that climb up there. And despite how rough that looks there, again, probably in a shadow, the inside of this ravine looks really, really good. And in real life, there was a Google marker for the ruins of a tiny little monastery right up here in the middle of this thing. I have no idea how you would have gotten up here back in the day. I don't know how old it was. Couldn't find any information about it. We'll see a tiny little default building off to the right up here. But I don't know what was up with that monastery. So those are flat shrubs right there. But see what I'm talking about? The shadows are in the right spot. And off to the left, too. They look natural because of where the shadows are versus where the sun is. There's that little building. See it to the right? That might be real. I don't know. The monastery is probably underneath us right about now, and it's the only thing up here. But look how good these rocks look. Like right down there to the left. Look at that. That is superb. Looks phenomenal. Really cool. And these kind of formations are all over the place out here. Really wild. So right when we crest the top, we're going to cut the power again, and we'll just coast because we got to descend too. And then we'll kind of circle around and see what we're dealing with over there with a strip. You ready for this one? This one's not easy. Hold on to those hoop earrings. Those are very nice earrings, by the way. Not trying to be offensive. Look at this up above the clouds and everything. Oh, what an amazing view this is. Okay, cut the throttle. And we'll come off of this just a little bit here. Oh, wow, that looks incredible. Oh, you can't see the far reservoir. There it is, over there. See it? That's the southern reservoir there. That blue thing off to the side in the distance. We can't see the one we're going to fly over until we get a little bit closer to it. Alright, so if you look at the very top of that ridge there, you can just see the windsock is the only thing up there. And again, I don't know where the runway would be because if there are any elements that should have come over from 2020, they didn't. And there are 3 asset packs you'll need to load up for this one. If you loaded up the ones from that helicopter flight we took, the FlightNet or LifeNet flight, you'll already have all of them. And one of them is a file that no longer works. So whatever that one that couldn't be loaded might be the one that would have outlined the runway for us. And the runway here does run along the ridge, and I don't think I'm going to come in that way. So you can see, let me bring the wing up here. Imagine trying to come down over that right there. Look how steep that is. I just couldn't lose enough speed to do it. I mean, coming in from this side would probably be real easy, but then trying to get turned around, if you're up on that thing, you'd be flying all over the place. So I'm going to look for a spot this time that's going to run perpendicular to where the landing area should be, and in this thing, as long as you can get it down, you can call it a runway. You know, I didn't even see a helipad marker out here either. So let's see. Still got the throttle cut. Look at this. We're losing a little bit of speed, which is great. Alright, so we got a little bit of an uphill grade there, which will be great, because we're not going to have a lot of space if we come in perpendicular. I just need to look for a spot where I'm not going to hop over any ditches or big rocks or anything sticking out. And once we get a little bit closer, I'm sure we'll be able to find something. Yeah, so we'll come around these little ledges here. I think that's what we'll do. And then just right over these trees. And since it's going to be rising up in front of us, we won't have any trouble seeing where we're going. Let's get some flaps in. And we'll go to 22 degrees. Still got the throttle cut. Alright, see that channel kind of coming down there? I'm looking right around here. I don't want to hit that, but if I come in right across that, we might be okay if it's not too much of a bank down to the right. We'll see how it looks when we're facing it head on. These mountains look wonderful. Really nice. Yeah, just look at that. Look how steep you'd have to come down if you're coming down, quote-unquote, the correct way. So if you can do it, and if you can land it coming over the top of that mountain, send me a copy of the video, and I'll post it on our Discord page, because I would be very impressed by that. I'm not the best short field landing pilot. I know some of you guys are really good. Oh yeah, this will be perfect. Check this out. Check it out. Look how slow we're going. I'm trying to see, I can't really see the numbers from here, but I think the stall speed, if you were full dirty, it's got to be sub 40, it looks like it. Which is pretty dang slow. That's double under territory there. Yeah, we got a little bit of a right-leaning grade here. Not too bad. That's right. That's right. We got huge shocks on this thing for a reason. And brake it. That's great. We got plenty of room to take off again. Okay. So I haven't blinked in about 5 minutes. I just tried to blink and my eyes rolled up like a rug. My eyelids did. I'm going to have to flip them out the other way again. Alright, here we go. So full prop again. Let me see which direction we need to go. We're almost facing the right way, so we'll just kind of bear off to the right just a little bit. Let me adjust this some. Okay, that should be fine. So we'll just come up and head over to the right. All the way back on the stick. Powered up. That's it, baby. You can climb up this thing, no problem. Come on, you got it. We're up. Man, I am loving this view here. Towards the end, just based on where these clouds are now, our altitude is, what, a little over 6,000? I think that last strip is up over 6,000, so we might get to do a little bit of cloud flying as we come in. What an incredible area. So we're going to take this little detour here for a few miles to take a look at the reservoirs. And I'll take some time to tell you about the geological history of this area while we're doing that. If we could take a time machine back about 65 million years ago and stand on the ground right below us, let's slow that down just a little bit. I think the cruising speed is 150 knots, so we're probably not pushing it too hard here. So if you're standing below us and looked over, I guess, to the north from here, which would be where the mountains are, you would not see any mountains at all. You would see a long, narrow, shallow channel that used to separate what is now called Spain from France. But tectonic movement jammed those two areas together over time, forming what was initially more of a big hump than a jagged mountain range. All these crazy-looking formations and ridges and canyons that we see today were formed by glacial movement and water erosion over the last 100,000 years or so. This river down here is the Cinca River, I believe, and it looks real nice. You know, it might not be, because the Cinca is what makes those reservoirs. I don't know what river this is. Yeah, it can't be, because the reservoirs are right in front of us. But it looks real nice. Look at that. Got some nice bridges going over it. The peak of the ice sheet coverage down here was around 65,000 years ago, at which time only the very highest of the mountain peaks would have been visible. That's a lot of ice. That terrain down there looks great. Really good. The fields look good. The river looks fantastic. The shorelines look good. Just wonderful. All right, we need to come this way a little bit. We can just start to see that reservoir coming out over there. I'm going to take a look at that. But due to the rather unique nature of a mountain range oriented across an isthmus like this, instead of running lengthwise, like most of the others do, think about Panama, places like that, this made for a very good border. In fact, it's one of the oldest natural borders in the world. With just a few minor exceptions, it's maintained the roughly same boundary line since the Franco-Spanish War ended in 1659. And you would think this giant mountain range would go a long way towards keeping the peace, since everyone knows that great fences make for even better neighbors. But these guys have been slugging it out for quite a while, not just here, but all over the world, with the last big dust-up being the Spanish War of Independence, which ended in 1814. So to get the best look at this reservoir without getting so close that you see any of the defects, we're going to head for that ridge that's close to it over there and just kind of follow that along, and then we'll head back north. So obviously these are man-made reservoirs, and they were made by damming up the Cinca River. And they were made over the course of 5 years. The first dam was built in 1969, and then the second one, I'm not sure it was the north or the south one, was built in 74. And the southern reservoir is called the El Grado, and this one up here is called the Mediano. And they look real good from up here. Where there's no flat trees looks so good. We're going to see the only big flat tree spot once we turn back around, and that's really going to be it. But these look nice. The coverage looks good. We're right about at the ceiling right now, it looks like. We will be able to see this little strip as we're coming by here, so I'll show you where that is if you just can't help yourself and you want to land there. I would do it for this one, but we'll save the extra 5 minutes and spare you the coastline. And I'm guessing they do a lot of water level control out here, because I don't know if you caught it on a little nav map when we were looking at it, but the whole northern end of this reservoir was a big patch of sand with the river winding through it. But here in the sim, the water goes all the way up to where that sand would have ended. Before I hopped in here, I was trying to increase my cache size, my rolling cache size, to 100 gigabytes. For some reason, every time I get in here, it keeps resetting to 16. I don't know why. Maybe it does that for everyone. If it does, let me know so I won't feel so upset about it. Look at those fields. You can see all the plow marks and everything. Just wonderful. So right about here is where that huge cloud was in the Bing map, and it looked just like a glacier with like cliffs and everything hanging off the end of it. So I was setting it back to 100 again on the rolling cache and accidentally put an extra 0 in there, and I had to wait for about 30 minutes for it to reconfigure itself. And then I tried to reduce it back to 100, and it said I couldn't. I could only go down, so I had to get all the way out of the sim, restart it. Thankfully, that time it did start back at 16, and I got to reset it again. But that was a very time-consuming mistake, because it said, whatever you do, do not turn off the sim while it's doing this. So once we get over this ridge, you'll see a long point of land coming out towards us that's right in front of the propeller right now. And then on that one to the right is where we'll see the runway. You can just barely see it there. Yep. See it? We'll come around so you can see what it looks like. And the water really is that color. That's one thing I just love about 2024. I know I've said it before, but I'm going to keep saying it because I like it so much. All of the water areas we've flown over, with very, very few exceptions, have been true to life for the colors. Got a little wind now. Jeez, okay, we had a 17-knot gust there coming from the tail. There's the strip right there. You can kind of see the messed up shorelines. It's really bad when you get close to it. But right across from that, look at those cliffs going down the water. They look fine. Okay. That Cinca River, though, is just gorgeous, really gorgeous. It starts just north of where we're going to be landing, not real long, runs about 80 miles till it catches up with another river, and then from there it flows down to the Mediterranean. If you wanted to check out some nearer photogrammetry cities, the closest one is probably Pamplona, which is over to the western side, but it's kind of far from the range itself if you're just dying for some photogrammetry. Look at that down there. Oh my goodness. Just flawless. That is just so incredible. I mean, you got everything out here. You got dams. Oh, here's these flat trees right to the left. See them? You got dams, reservoirs, cliffs. And speaking of cliffs, there are some big waterfalls in this canyon, but there's only one or two of them. Probably not worth the time to do it up. So, in addition to the 2 videos about Mike Patey and this plane, which I'll tell you more about after we hit this spot, I'm also going to link a video to this last canyon we're going to fly over, which is huge. One of the deepest in all of Europe. Alright, we need to slow way down and come way down. This strip is going to be right up in here. And this one's also really tough because there's a gigantic tree right at the end of it. And on my last flight, I crashed at this one. Which I really hope I don't do again this time. You guys really can't imagine the thrill of being able to stick all 8 of these in a row on the rare occasions that I can pull it off. Because when you're flying by yourself, you know, if you crash, you start over, whatever, not a big deal. But imagine spending 30 minutes at a time, getting out here, almost completing the whole circuit, and crashing, having to start over and over again. Unless you've done it before, you really can't imagine what the thrill's like to pull it off. Alright, we've already lost sight of the runway. So, you know what? That might not even be it. That might not be the right mountain. Let's come over this way a bit. Yeah, we're off track. Let's get over this way just a little bit. Alright. I'm trying to follow my MFD map there. Oh boy, this one's really tough to find until you get right on it. Which is why I'm glad we've got that showing up. That might not have been it. It might be this one on this first mountain here. We're going to see as we get a little bit closer. I think it is on the second one there. Yeah, it is. It's going to be on that second one. Okay, so we'll just get right up there, and we'll probably have to slip again, because if I try to come up the side of the mountain to burn the speed, we'll lose sight of the runway, we'll be in trouble, because we have to navigate around these trees. How long is this one? Let me scroll down a little bit here in the notes. I think this one's only 1,000 feet. Yeah, it is. That's why this is so hard. Okay, it might be that open area right between our 2 brace bars there. Right there, it's kind of in the crosshairs right now. I think that's probably it. So let's go ahead and cut the power, get some flaps in. I need to remember to get down to 33 degrees at least of flaps, or we're going to be going too fast. So you see off to our left there how that looks kind of blurry? It looks like a 2020 cliff. As we get closer, that'll clean itself up just fine. And I was using the auto FPS for a lot of my flights, and I went to try to update it by going to Island Sim Pilot's channel and clicking on the link he had down there because I didn't know how to find it by searching for it. And I noticed there's a newer version, and this is just a heads up for any of you guys that have Norton antivirus. When I installed that newer version, it crashed my sim to desktop, asked me to quarantine the file, and when I restarted the computer after that, it was gone. So I asked if anyone else had that problem, and they said I should try removing Norton, which I was all too happy to do. Hold on, let me just land this thing real quick. Because it's always putting these pop-ups all over the place all the time. And with Windows Defender, it loaded up just fine. So if you guys are trying to install Auto FPS, which I removed for this flight, it wasn't doing well coming up and down like this. We're about to stall. Pick it up. Oh god, this is so hard. We might have to do a touch and go here, guys, if I can't get this. I'm not going to crash again. Alright, I think we got it. I don't know if that's going to be enough room. I think it will. I think it actually will. I think we can do it. So anyway, if you're trying to install Auto FPS or even update it, and your sim's having problems, and you're using Norton, remove it. I was reading that Windows Defender does just as good a job as Norton does anyway, without all the ads. Okay, oh god, that was a big victory, guys. Big, big victory for me. Okay, back pressure, full power. I'm going to go all the way up, step on the brakes, until it's powered all the way up. Alright, come on, baby. Just get up. Please get up. Please get up. Please get up. Please get up. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Alright. Okay. Big milestone. Flaps up. Power back. Our next landing spot is called Montanesa Airstrip. And this one's at an altitude of 3,300 and also a shorty at just over 1,000 feet long. And this one is tricky too, but really fun. This one might be my favorite. Not the hardest, but it's just kind of technical, which is neat. We're going to hug these mountains here so we can take a nice look at them. And right on the other side of it, which is on our right side now, we'll continue to be on the right side because we're going to circle all the way around it. This is a very interesting mountain formation. If you look at it from the top, there's not like a big plateau or anything on the other side. It is just that really thin ridge running all the way down it, which is really cool. Maybe even worth a trip over the top of it just to check it out. If you want to fly back out here and fly along it, it's really, really neat. So look at this. Looks great once you get close to it. How's our wind doing? We got a 4-knot crosswind. I don't know why we had that huge gust back there. And I don't feel like I'm getting a lot of updrafts around these mountains, probably because the just general wind is pretty slow. Look at this. Imagine standing up on top of that, looking over the edge. Oh, I thought we had a little waterfall there for a second. It was just a little glitch in the graphic scene. So this is the spot where we're going to see the good dam from a distance. It's really small compared to the others, but it'll look nice from over here. We're going to have to really look down underneath this as we fly by. This one's on the La Spuna Reservoir, which is a really small one, but it is on the Cinca River. And I couldn't get any information at all about this one. Don't know how old it is. I'm guessing it's hydroelectric. Most of these probably are. Look at this. So once we get to our final spot, it's just going to go from this super jagged stuff to like these rolling, flat, grassy hills. Just so crazy that this much variation is jammed into such a short area like this. Just keeping an eye on my map there. If any of you guys have checked out whatever they did with Sim Update 1, there was a tiny little blurb. I was reading the notes for that, and they said they were doing something with the trees in the photogrammetry areas, but I couldn't tell from the description what it was, and you guys know what I'm hoping it is. If they fixed up those blob trees, that would be huge. I haven't gone back over photogrammetry area yet since they did it. I'm really, really hoping that's what it was, and if it wasn't, I hope that's something on their list, because that's one area where 2020 is still killing 2024. Not nearly as many of those, which just looks so bad. I mean, it ruins a great photogrammetry area when you see all those trees looking like that. There's the little reservoir down there, and on the far side of it, we'll see the dam. See it down there? We'll see once we come behind this pillar here. Ooh, that kind of looks like it might be flat if we flew right over it, doesn't it? It may be, but from here it looks pretty cool. Alright, you guys ready for this? If you've ever flown out to Machu Picchu, or the Andes in that region, once we come over this ridge, it's going to look just like that. It's crazy. All these like bulbous little mountains just sticking up in the air. And look at this canyon down here to our left. That's not the big one, but it looks pretty cool. Yep, and right there you can see they probably got some shadows they had to try to overcome because it's just flat running down the edge there. So this one we're going to come down some, just 1,000 feet long again, and it's got a really scrawny space. You got to squeeze between some trees about halfway down the runway. Look at this. Does this not look like the Machu Picchu area? Yes, yes it does. So this strip, we're going to come around. We got that little peak right off there to our right. That next mountain behind it, the strip is going to be right behind that. We're going to see a little bit of an opening. We'll come in facing the opening, and right when we get over it, we're going to have to take a pretty hard dogleg to the left to get down, because the strip's going to bend that way, which is the fun part. Look at this. Incredible. Really incredible. Outside of the Andes, I really can't think of a spot that looks quite like this. Really amazing. I think they do a lot of hiking out here too. Alright, so there's the open spot. See a little green area with a little white dot in it? That's what we're going to shoot for. Go ahead and start getting some flaps out so we can get nice and slow. We only got 1,000 feet here. And I want to try to be right around stall speed once we take that little dog leg. Oh my gosh, I can't get over this. Just so great. Haven't got an update yet on my computer that I ordered with the 5090, and I'm certainly not holding my breath for that since they're still not really available anywhere. I'm guessing the guys that are ordering them in bulk might get some kind of priority on that. I'm hoping anyway. But it's nice just to know that I've kind of got one secured, I guess. Let's go to 33 degrees. Hopefully not get too much hopping. So that white spot there is the number for the runway, and it's going to head off to the left there through a really narrow spot in the trees. Oh no, did I get too slow? I got to be able to see that runway still. See how skinny that is there? Alright, come on. Come on, Nick. We only got 2 more after this one. Don't stall. Okay, thread the needle, baby. Thread the needle. Come on. Watch the trees. Oh, yeah, okay. Alright. Alright. What do we have up here? I forgot to even look at the scenery last time. Okay, we got a big tank. Since we're on the border, that's probably moonshine in there. What if they do that up here, like Appalachia? And a little outbuilding of some kind, a couple cars. I wonder how those guys got up here. Oh yeah, we got plenty of runway left too. Okay, 2 more. Once we come up here, I'm going to tell you about this plane because it's so incredibly cool. And then we'll have 2 more strips. I'm just kind of looking in advance of the notes here so I don't have to keep scrolling through that while we're flying. Alright. Okay, we're good. Full back pressure, full prop, bring the flaps back up to 22, full power, stomp on the brakes, and away we go. You doing all right? You're having a good time. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Got distracted by those hoops. The hussy hoops. I got 4 daughters. I always tell them when they wear things like that, don't you be wearing no hussy hoops in this house. They're forbidden. I got a little ruler. I measured the diameter of all the earrings. Okay, so this plane. I'll tell you guys, after flying this thing, I probably got, I don't know, 6 hours in it now. I'm really appreciating it. It feels different than most of the bush planes. Obviously, it's really, really overpowered. Very, very nimble. I'm enjoying it a lot. I guess the thing it's probably closest to would be that Kit Fox, the one where you can't bring the throttle up over 30% without ripping the wings off. That's about how it feels if you haven't been in it yet. I'm sure most of you probably have. I don't know why I waited so long to get in. Alright, we're heading right to that big giant thing sticking up in the distance over there. And this one is a big time challenge too. I'll tell you about it when we get there. So I spent a little time poking around on Draco's website. They have their own website for this thing to get some more details about their work. For one thing, I was surprised to see they've only been around since 2020, and even though this plane does exist, there's plenty of footage of it flying around, Mike flying around in it, which you should definitely watch as much as you can because it's amazing. But I don't think they're scheduled to release any to the public until 2028. And I think even crashed this thing once. And if you didn't already know it, this thing is basically just a super modified Wilga. So that's the base of the airframe. In fact, the first Draco was built out of the last Wilga ever made. Mike wound up getting his hands on that thing. But he felt like it needed a little bit more power for higher altitude, so he stuffed a PT6 turboprop in it, bringing the horsepower up from, I don't know, like 280 to 680, which is just amazing and awesome. And he said that this thing actually has better efficiency than the radial engine it comes with. It burns more fuel per mile, or per hour. I think it's 28 per hour in this versus 26 versus stock, but it's so much faster, the range is significantly longer. So that was probably nice. And as you can imagine, this much power makes it a great climber. I think the stock Wilga can climb at around 500 feet a minute. This thing can go over 3,000 feet a minute, which is amazing. And it can land almost like a helicopter. The ground roll for takeoff, I'm trying to go from memory, I didn't write it down. I think it's 112 feet for takeoff. And I know for sure it's under 100 if you can pull it off for landing. Maybe even down around like 60. I mean, it's low, really low. So definitely in the hyper stall category. So this mountain's called Castillo Mayor, which means large castle, because it kind of looks like it. Oh, got a little gust there. And man, if I was building a castle, I would definitely build it on top of this thing. But I don't think anyone ever did. I couldn't find any ruins of any. Probably because they couldn't get up here. From the other side, it's a little bit more sloping, but from this side, good luck. So what we're going to have to do for this is be almost stalling when we come over this edge. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and just cut the throttle now. And then we're going to have to slip it all the way down because the runway's down in a ravine. And so far I have not been able to land right on the runway. I've had to veer off to the right a little bit. It just wasn't long enough. It's 1,400 feet, but we're going to be coming in so quick that I just couldn't get down in time. So if you can nail this one too, on the designated runway, send me a picture of that also. I'll post it. Or a video of it. On top of this, we got some flat bushes, but it kind of looks like the texture of the mountain, so again, not super noticeable. We're going to be cutting it close here, but we have to. With our airspeed, we really have to. I'm going to go 33 degrees, just keep it right above stall speed, and then just slip our way down the other side. Alright. Only one more after this one. And the last one will be a big breath of fresh air, because it's really easy compared to this. Alright. I'm looking for the end of that runway, starting to slip. Don't stall. Where is it? There it is. See that? I mean, how are you going to get down on that? Slip it some more. Slip it some more. All the way right rudder. I think I might make it. We'll see. Look how short this is. That doesn't look like 1,400 feet to me. Yep. I'm going to have to veer to the right. We might have enough room here. We'll see. I'll take off to the right anyway. Yep, we're going to have to come off to the right to take off. That's fine. We got plenty of room over there. You know what? I might just launch right up that hill there. That's exactly what I'm going to do. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Alright. Get pointed this way. That'll be great. Uh-oh. Might be a little bit bumpy, though. Okay, guys, one more to go. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Okay, let's bring it up to 22 degrees one more time. Advance my notes a little bit because I need to keep all hands on all the controls. Okay, this next thing we're going to see, I'll just tell you about it right now so that we can focus on looking at it. It's called Anisklo, maybe Anisklo Canyon. I think there's a tilde over that end, but I don't know how to type one, so I can't remember which word said the tilde. And this might be the deepest one in Europe. I don't know exactly how deep it is, but it was carved out by the Belos River. And from the ground, again, I have a video of it. You got to check it out. Just really, really amazing. I don't think the view in the sim will do it justice, but it still is going to look pretty cool. Okay, full prop. Here we go. Full power. Stepping on the brakes. Let's do it. I bet if we were at a lower altitude, I mean, we're at what? Almost 6,000 feet again, but if you had some nice dense air, this thing would just pop right up like a cork. We'll keep those flaps in for just a little bit till we get over this ridge here. And this is what I'm talking about with these mountains. Look how they just kind of flatten out and turn into these big meadows. Whoops, wrong way on the flaps. How neat is that? And that's what the runway that we're coming into is going to look like too. It's going to be on top of a big area like that. Do I need to come over that? I think I do. So we'll come around the side of this. I think the big canyon's on the other side of it. Yep, it is. Okay. I haven't done a lot of hiking in my life, but being out in places like this, probably because there's not a hill anywhere in sight in Jacksonville, literally. If you've ever been to Florida, you know that the entire state is just flat like a sheet of paper until you get up by around Tallahassee, which is kind of a bummer. And I always feel like there's some more flat trees, and the shadows are not doing it any favors either, are they? I always feel like I'm more of a mountain man. I love going up in the mountains, but when I took that trip up in the Smokies with my daughter a couple months ago, I was actually getting like a little bit claustrophobic because everything is just surrounded by mountains everywhere, which was neat and kind of, you know, it's an interesting feeling driving through that. But it just takes forever to go anywhere because you got to course through all the valleys and stuff between the mountains. So I think I might get tired of that kind of quick. Probably one of those better to vacation at type of areas. So here's that big canyon. And there's a road, like a super, super skinny road that I'm guessing, just judging by the videos, runs along the left side of it. I couldn't see it here in the sim. It's way down there at the bottom of it. But they got all kinds of waterfalls, and it's just absolutely beautiful. Neat area. That place we just landed, by the way, I forgot to mention it because I was concentrating so much on coming over that ridge. You probably noticed it was like a big bowl. And the thing drains itself through two big holes in the limestone, like a big bathtub. How incredible it would be to watch water suck down that thing. I would love to see that. I wonder how big the holes are. I couldn't find any videos or pictures of them. Okay, real quick, a couple of announcements. Again, flight plan, bookmarks, and add-ons and videos all will be linked in the video description. And guys, I have almost run dry on recommended flights. And I know you guys have got some spots we need to check out. I can certainly find them on my own, but we've got to get some entrance into our quarterly flight plan competition. So if you've got some spots you want me to check out, let me know. You can hop on our Discord server. The link for that will be in there. If you don't feel like doing that, or if you're intimidated by it, well, you shouldn't be. I was. You shouldn't be, though. I can tell you now, after using it for a year, super, super easy. It's like a new school chat room. But if you hop in there and go down to the left side of it, that'll be linked in the video description. If you go to the left side, you can find the Suggest a Flight section. Just give me a general area. That's all I really need. I'll check it out. If you've got some specific spots, that's cool, too. And if it checks all the boxes, we'll load it up. But it's a cool place to hang out anyway. We got like 170 members in there. It's like the same 10 guys that are always chatting, which I'm very grateful for because they're all awesome. But we need to liven it up a little bit. The problem with Discord is a conversation can get buried really quickly unless you pin something to the top, but then you got to navigate through all that stuff, and I don't know how you'd remedy that. But if you don't feel like getting in Discord, just let me know in the YouTube channel comments where you think we should fly. Look at this terrain. How crazy is that? Alright, I always get lost up here. It's tough to tell where I think it's on the very top of that hill over there. So I think there's going to be some fences along the side of the runway, so this one will be delineated a little bit better. And I don't think we'll check out the map for this one because there's nothing to see that we didn't see already. You can explore it on your own. But I hope you'll check out this flight, even if you don't want to try all the bush strips, which I'll strongly encourage you to do. If you can nail all 12, I'll give you an honorable mention on our next flight. And if you can nail those other two the correct way, I'll post a video of it. But check it out just for the scenery alone if you've never been out here. Just so cool. So what I'll do next is hit a couple of these photogrammetry cities, see if anything was in fact cleaned up. And if it is, with the trees. Maybe we'll do a couple cities. I'm kind of waiting for that 5090 to come in so I can just crank the graphics up and not have to worry about it. I don't know where this runway is. Once we get closer, we'll see the fences. It's somewhere up here. I feel like we're kind of close to it. Looking at the map there, we're a little bit far out though. We'll just land right on top of this ridge if I can't spot it. We'll see the fences once we get closer. But I'd love to just come up here with a backpack and a tent, spend a few days hiking around. That would be awesome. This one's really long too, so we won't have to worry about running out of space. Okay, there's the end of the runway. See the marker right there? The barrier? And there's the fences. Nice and easy. Great way to wrap it up. I say that, watch, I'm going to fly right off the end of it. Let me give it some more flaps. Slow down, baby, slow down. There we go. Don't hit the fence. Just slow down. You know what? Since we're here, let's hop out and see if we can look over the edge of anything. Okay, let's just kill that. And that. And let's unseal our door. Let's see if it makes a hissing sound. I haven't done this yet. Oh, love it. Fantastic. Alright. Thank you for being a great passenger. That's my kind of person. Not saying a word. Look at this. All you need is a couple fence posts, a little barbed wire, a couple pole barns. I'm totally content. Well, we don't really have a ledge to look over here. That's fine. We'll just get on top of the mountain. Oh, yep. Thumbnail. Right there. Perfect. I'm just freeze there for a minute. That's going to be the thumbnail. Awesome. Okay, guys. Thanks for coming along. I'm glad I made it. We did it safely. Got to fly the Draco. Incredible. Check out those videos if you want to learn more about it, which you definitely should. Can't wait to see you all again in the skies. Later.